Welcome back to the channel and welcome to my restoration video on something that you probably didn't expect to see on this channel, but I'm going to bring it to you anyway. This is a 92 Yamaha Timberwolf 250 cubic centimeter ATV that is aesthetically exactly like one that my family had back in those early days. And as a matter of fact, I put a ton more miles on ATVs before I ever dreamed of getting a vehicle driver license. So this has been an exercise, like many of my restoration projects, in nostalgia and in reliving some of that past from over 3 decades ago. So this is a relatively unmodified, super well kept Timberwolf that's been in Arizona, I believe, its entire life. I picked it up a couple months ago from a local seller on Facebook Marketplace, and I knew right off the bat when I saw the listing that it was the exact spec of the Timberwolf that we had back in the day when I was about 10 years old. So I'll walk you through a little bit about the significance of having an ATV like this, and I'll tell you why I'm excited to showcase it in some upcoming events. So in order to set the stage properly about this Timberwolf project, I have to go way back in time, probably 40 years almost even, to look at the early days of ATVing. That's me in the middle with my brother and my cousin and an old Honda three-wheeler. So my grandparents had a cabin growing up that we would visit a lot on weekends, and that was kind of where things started. So this is me with my dad, again on the three-wheeler. That little 50cc Suzuki, by the way, still runs almost 40 years later. Pretty amazing. But these are some pictures from over the years of different ATV related adventures. This was Christmas 1992 when my brother and I got a four-wheeler for Christmas, but in the background there you see the Timberwolf. So that predated this 80cc Badger by a little bit, but we rode around on both of those a ton. In fact, this is a screenshot from a home video taken Christmas morning. That's me with my red hat. And you can see to the left there, my dad's 85 Ford Bronco, another screenshot there with getting the quads warmed up and ready to zip up and down the street a little bit, and that's what we did. Then later on, this was kind of where my automotive passion also started. This was my dad's 89 F-Series pickup with 3 ATVs in the back. There's the Timberwolf you can see at the far right, the Badger in the middle, and then the Suzuki 50 at the left. But pretty crazy, in an 8-foot truck bed, you can get 3 four-wheelers. Other pictures, these are part of the Paiute ATV Loop. It's over 400 miles long, and it's a hugely popular trail in central Utah. In fact, they do events called the ATV Jamboree and other things like that that I always wanted to go to. This is something a little different. My grandparents had a Kawasaki Mule. Here you can see after the Timberwolf, we went to a 95 Yamaha Kodiak, much bigger machine. It was 400cc. And you can see here it was 4-wheel drive and it had chains on all 4 tires. That was my brother sitting there. Here I was on a Polaris Trail Boss, but that Kodiak was absolutely unstoppable. Here's me with my helmet on, riding the Kodiak, another pic on the Trail Boss, and really awesome upbringing, spending a lot of time riding around the trails on those way before I got into cars. Now, by way of background, the Timberwolf was new for 92. It stickered at $29.95. Found a bunch of period advertisements from newspapers when that launched. And I also printed kind of a press kit with some background info on some of the innovations. It was a 4-stroke, single overhead cam, single cylinder, 5-speed transmission, which is kind of interesting. There's no clutch for it, so it's kind of an auto clutch, but the shift lever is here on your left foot, and you basically just go upward for a higher gear and downward for a lower gear, and then you have to have it in first gear to be able to put it in reverse. But more than enough power for this little ATV. And then this was the overall full line brochure for 92 Yamaha ATVs. You can see over here, the Timberwolf was kind of entry level, but it was also positioned as a little bit of work and a little bit of play machine. It could do both pretty confidently. Yamaha also did have some incredibly fun machines back then, including the Banshee you may have heard of. Super popular with people who go to sand dunes and things like that. There's the Timberwolf in my exact same colors. A few accessories they offered too, and I'd maybe like to track some of these down. There's a little add-on rack you could get. You could get, I guess they call that the cargo bed system. But a lot of cool stuff. And I used to subscribe to a variety of magazines. One of them was called Dirt Wheels. And this is a letter I wrote when I was 15 years old to Dirt Wheels, asking them if they would put my picture in their magazine. And they did. So in December of 1997, I guess just a few months later, our picture showed up. Let me see if I can find it here on the, here it is. Kind of a fun caption. It says, when the Hughie family of St. George goes trail riding, they bring quite an interesting mix of all-terrain vehicles. Tyson says, that's me on the Trail Boss, my 9-year-old brother Peyton in the Kawasaki Mule, my other brother on the Kodiak. Mom took the photo while we were riding the Paiute Trail. So I had crazy bleached hair right there, but that's me in the Trail Boss. And a lot of fun, even hard to believe this has been over 25 years now since I wrote that letter and was featured in Dirt Wheels, but kind of a claim to fame. And we were, despite the fact that I'm now entirely almost Honda, we were pretty loyal to Yamaha. In fact, we even had watercraft. So this was a t-shirt I've had for 30 years of the Yamaha Wave Raider 1100 two-seater, three-cylinder, 1100cc Wave Runner. And that thing was crazy fast. It did, according to the speedometer anyway, that was on it, about 60 miles an hour plus. And when you wiped out at 60, cruising down the lake, it wasn't a very good feeling. But that's kind of my ATV backstory. So the point of this machine now is to have something that I can put in the back of my truck during RADwood and have it be really kind of the complete picture of my childhood. I was 10 years old when we got that Timberwolf, and so having one now 32 years later is pretty awesome. I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of the end result on this. I didn't set out to bring this ATV back to its showroom glory, but I did want something that was original and presentable that would go in a period correct arrangement with my pickup truck. And I think I succeeded there. The good news is I can also use this thing. It's always handy to have something around the house that's capable of smaller tasks. I can also take it on some back roads trails, as we have many of here in the Arizona region. So I'm excited to actually use this thing a little bit. And I'm thrilled that I was able to save another piece of history from my past. And I think it's going to be fun to showcase this in the back of the truck.